Hey, so do you feel like you're taking action towards your goals, but there's just so much resistance? It feels like everything is way harder than it needs to be. You think after a while, what's the point? Why is it so hard and so easy for everybody else? And it doesn't seem like your life's moving forward. So if that's something that you're struggling with, stick around, because in this video, I want to show you why there is so much resistance there, how to lower that level of resistance so that you can move towards your goals with effortlessness, with ease, and you can start building your future and feel like your life is changing for the better. And before we dive in, just want to welcome you here. If you're new, welcome. My name is Rubin. I'm a transformational coach. This channel is dedicated to reducing your social anxiety and increasing your self-esteem and feelings of self-worth so you can develop your fearless self-expression. If that's something that's resonating with you as I say that, consider hitting that subscribe button. There's a bell notification beside that. Make sure you click that as well so you know right when I release a new video, you can dive into it right away. So this feeling like you're grinding away, extremely productive. You take pride in being hardworking, disciplined, motivated, driven, and there you are, taking action, working your butt off, but at the same time, it just feels like you're getting nowhere. It's a complete waste of time. You put your head up once in a while and you see your friends busy just living a normal life. They're social, they got the careers, everything's moving forward. And here's the part that really is frustrating is they put in a fraction of the effort that you do. I get it. And I need you to understand why this is. Why is there, remember, like we talked about, resistance? Why is there so much resistance? Why is there this huge wall in between you and a better life? And to understand what this invisible wall is and start chipping away the layers of it, you have to understand what you are experiencing, plain and simple, is guilt. Guilt. Extremely powerful emotion, can stop you in your tracks, can completely derail your life. What is guilt? Guilt is a thought form. Okay, so the thoughts that you'll be having, self-awareness is everything here. So when you are experiencing guilt, you will be experiencing thoughts, punishing thoughts. Why did you do that? What the hell is wrong with you? You think you can get away with that? And you're not gonna, and people are gonna get back at you. Guilt, guilt, guilt. It's about punishing you for your past mistakes. Now, with that thought form, when you are experiencing guilt, you'll be having the thoughts. You'll be also having the feelings like regret, feeling like you're a failure. These feelings, okay? Thoughts, feelings, and you'll also be experiencing a somatic component that goes with it in your body. So, physical sensations that are happening most likely in your chest and in your stomach. Okay, this is extremely important, that when you are having those thoughts, nail that down, see it for what it is. You are experiencing guilt. Now, it's important to understand that when you are experiencing guilt, this thought form, what is wrong with you? Why the hell did you do that? Oh, I'm such an idiot. I always make these mistakes. Oh, I'm always doing stupid shit. When you are experiencing these thoughts, guilty thoughts, it's important to understand that the thought form itself, it's not just a random thought. It has an underlying motivation. And what is the underlying motivation of this voice in your head saying, you're stupid? Why did you make that mistake? What the hell is wrong with you? Why can't you be like that? Guilt, guilt, guilt. The underlying motivation, although it sounds crazy, it's trying to motivate you to not repeat your past mistakes. But when guilt goes too far and it turns into this extreme toxic type of guilt to the point where it's just beating up on you, it actually defeats the purpose. And it actually doesn't get you to correct your mistakes. It actually punishes you so hard. For example, if you grew up like that, that you were punished, for example, by your parents, and you were punished, for example, in your friend group for making mistakes and guilted and shamed over it, You will not actually correct your past mistakes. Instead, what you will do is live your life trying to avoid punishment. Now, the reason this is detrimental to your success, it's actually going to inhibit you from reaching your goals, although it kind of seems like a good thing to do, is to not make those mistakes again. It's because of focus. Focus is one of the most important things for you to getting to your goals. What you focus on a daily basis, what you focus on a moment-to-moment basis, what you focus on is one of the key factors that's going to ultimately determine whether you reach your goals or not. So let's talk about focus here. Focusing on receiving feedback, making adjustments, learning from your mistakes. That's focus. That's a positive focus. That's a positive mindset. Is a whole lot different than focusing only on avoiding punishment, avoiding mistakes. Because I believe there's actually no failures in life. Like Nelson Mandela said, you either win or you learn. And so let's really hone in on this focus, what you focus on. I want you to really grasp this. It's an extremely, extremely important factor when it comes to you and overcoming that resistance to reaching your goals. Let's say we have two young soccer players, two boys, 5 years old, both up and comers, same amount of talent, same amount of skill, and they're learning, let's say, penalty kicks, for example. And you have one boy, supportive coach, supportive dad, supportive parents, and he's learning how to kick the ball. So for example, the ball, let's say that he's learning how to shoot the ball high. He's got to hit the ball at a certain angle below. If he makes a mistake and he gets encouragement, he gets acknowledgement, hey, you hit that one a little bit too low. I want you to hit it a little bit higher. So focus. We're talking about focus. He doesn't beat himself up for making a mistake. He can own the mistake. He can see where he might have hit the ball wrong. You see how light that is? The second thing is he's able to receive the feedback and look for the point of improvement. Hey, don't strike the ball lower, hit it a little higher, hit it mid-range. And so when he goes to take his second repetition or his second shot at it, his focus is not on the mistake. His focus is on where he's going to improve this time. Let's switch it over. Let's switch it over to the 5-year-old. Not supportive parents. Mom doesn't even show up to the game. Dad's there, angry. Maybe he's drinking a little bit, screaming at him. Coach, maybe the coach is not really supportive. Maybe the coach is one of those guys that's like, he wasn't really good when he was playing, and he's just there to kind of go through the motions and be a coach, but he has no passion for it. So let's take a look at this 5-year-old boy. And he goes in, he chips the ball too low, it goes too high. Dad starts screaming at him, punishing him, guilting him, like we said. Punish. What the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing? You hit the ball too low. Coach doesn't say anything. Coach doesn't really have an opinion. He's got no passion about it. Mom's not even there. So let's say this young boy, did he get a reference point? Yeah, he got the reference point that he hit the ball too low, but is he able to receive that as a point of improvement? No. Because what's going to happen when he goes for his second shot, for his chance to try it again? Focus. Where is his focus? His focus isn't on trying to strike the ball a little higher. His focus is on his dad was screaming at him. Jeez. The focus is on, I'm going to get punished if I don't get this right. So you can see the advantage. If you're looking at your friends and they're moving along forward in life, they have a lot more mental bandwidth going on in their mind. So for example, the young 5-year-old over here, the amount he can focus on the task at hand, which is ultimately going to get him to his goal, which is scoring that goal, is a lot less. There's a lot less resistance than this 5-year-old over here who, yes, he has the goal. He has the goal. I want to get the ball in the net. But he's got all this extra baggage. He's got dad screaming in his head, geez, I got to avoid the punishment. I got to avoid making myself look bad. Maybe there were people looking as he was getting screamed at last time. Geez, I got to avoid the humiliation. Ooh, I can't focus. I can't concentrate. I'm trying to take the action just like this guy over here, but I just can't focus. So quick recap here before we move on. When you're punishing yourself or you were punished for these past mistakes, you're feeling like everything's a waste of time. You're dealing with guilt. What does guilt do? Guilt steals your focus. Instead of focusing, instead of being able to receive feedback and improve your situation incrementally so you feel that forward momentum, that flow and effort and ease, it steals your focus. Because what do? You focus on not being punished. You focus on not being judged. You focus on not being humiliated. How can you focus on the task at hand that's actually going to get you to your goal when you have all this extra baggage on top? We got to deal with the baggage first. But before you do, if this is resonating with you, you've had these experiences growing up and you're seeing it actually did steal my focus. I actually couldn't operate like the other kids. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I've been there as well. So I encourage you to share it, get it out there, because when you get it out of your head, it loses its power. That thing is a monster in here. So I encourage you to share it with us. Okay, and so getting back here, how do we lower that level of resistance so we can increase our focus on what we actually need to do so we can take these incremental steps towards our goals and hit them with absolute certainty and build that future that you want? How do we lower the resistance? That's the question, right? How do we do this? If I could put it into one word, forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself for your lower level of consciousness in the past. What do I mean by that? Maybe for you, for example, is you're feeling super guilty about a past mistake you made. For example, let's say you let a friend down. You betrayed a friend. Maybe you took your friend's girlfriend, for example. Maybe you cheated on an ex-girlfriend. Maybe you cheated on the girlfriend you have now and you haven't told her. You're carrying all of this guilt, all of this shame inside. Maybe a friend of yours was in trouble and, for example, he was experiencing physical violence. He was getting jumped and there was just too many guys around and you couldn't jump in and help him, and for that you carried the guilt. You carry the guilt, I couldn't help. Okay? The thing is you have to forgive yourself again for that old consciousness operating at a certain level whenever that time was for you. So for example, let's say we go to cheating. You cheated on an ex-girlfriend, maybe you cheated on your current girlfriend, you're carrying all this guilt, it's keeping you stuck. You can't break free. You can't get out from underneath it. Well, you have to forgive yourself for that because maybe you grew up in a time where that was the norm for all the men that you grew up with. That was the role modeling that you got. You never saw faithful men growing up. You never saw men who were honest, men who were living lives of integrity. So you weren't taught to have a healthy relationship. And if you weren't taught to have a healthy relationship, you were operating at that level of consciousness. So you have to forgive yourself for that. Let's say, for example, you feel like you had a friend group and you let some of your friends down, or you betrayed a certain friend. Well, maybe growing up, you weren't taught how to have healthy friendships. You weren't taught, for example, healthy responsibility, mutual honesty and respect. You weren't taught these different things that make a friendship last. You just weren't taught that by your family. So you have to forgive yourself again for operating at that level of consciousness. You have to forgive yourself. Number one. Now, if you've tried to shake the guilt and it's just too much, you can't get out from underneath the shadow for what you did in the past, and you keep beating up on yourself for making mistakes moving forward, you need to bring in support. You have to bring in another person who can sit with that experience with you in a non-judgmental way, with compassion. And this is extremely important. It's not just at the personal level. Think about it. The Jewish community, they have this thing called atonement, where they'll confess their sins in front of God. Catholics have the same thing, confession. I grew up Catholic. I remember I would confess sins to a Catholic priest. You know, I remember I was like maybe 10 years old. I would confess for swearing, just like silly little things. But what I'm talking about is the principle here. Sharing out, saying what you did, telling the truth about what you did, and having somebody witness that for you with compassion. And 12-step, they have the 4-step inventory, and they have the sponsors, and they do this inventory of all the wrongs they did, and they say it out. And when that person that you share it with says, it's okay, it doesn't make you a bad person. It's okay. I've done that too. I've made mistakes too. When you get the compassion, what that does is it takes the experience, which is wrapped up in a bunch of guilt, and it shifts the feeling tone to a level of acceptance. I'll give you an example here so you can really picture this. Is, let's say you have a friend who you feel has betrayed you. Right away, if I ask you to think of this friend, he's betrayed you. Let's say you got this thought like, this guy screwed me over, angry, resentful about it. As soon as you think back to the memory of what happened in this friend, what happens? You start to get very angry. You can feel it in your body, the anger coming up, the rage, right? So what happens? The memory got pulled up, but also the feeling tone with the memory. But let's say you do some work and you work on your resentments and you work to see, okay, maybe I played a little part in that. You work to see, and through that you have compassion for yourself, which allows you to see, geez, I could see maybe he didn't grow up with some healthy role models either. He wasn't really taught. He was struggling with something at the same time. And you learn to forgive your friend. So let's say you forgive your friend, and then after that forgiveness process happens, when I ask you to think of your friend again and what happened, the memory comes up, but the feeling tone doesn't. That level of acceptance is there. It no longer keeps you stuck and locked into the past. And to tie this all together, I have a student that comes to mind. I was working with him a while ago, and he was a real estate agent. He was driven. Talk about driven, action, motivated. Talk about a go-getter. Really wanted to push to get his personal brand out there, get his marketing dialed in. He needed to get on social media. But whatever happened, he was trying to get on social media, and he would just face all that resistance. All that resistance. Whatever I do, I try to get out there. I just have all of this anxiety that comes up, and I end up just scrolling on my phone. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I really want to make this career work, but I can't. I'm trying to take the action. So you could see the resistance, the focus. It's not there. He needs to make the posts. He needs to get on social media. He needs to be consistent. That's what he needs to focus on. But for some reason, the focus was being stolen away. Scrolling on his phone, wasting his time with activities that just don't serve his future. So when we were taking a look at it together, we were working on it. And I said, what? So when you're trying to post on social media, what's coming up? And he's just all this guilt. And he goes, well, man, I just feel like I'm going to be judged. I said, okay, so you're going to be judged. So I imagine that happened in your past. And he said, first thing I was like, yeah, it did happen. It did happen. Number one, you wouldn't be fearing something if it didn't happen in the past, okay? So it did happen. Okay, so what was happening? Well, I had these friends and I completely just, when they were getting judgmental, I completely abandoned them. I just cut them off, didn't talk to them since. And I just completely pieced out and started living my own life. I haven't talked to them since. Okay. So it's been associated now. I hope you're picking this up. If I go now onto social media, the fear of judgment, it's actually about these people that you have unresolved issues with, that they're going to come back and judge you again. And so what we were able to do is, again, he shared that out. Okay, we witnessed it compassionately. Okay, that did happen. It's okay. And he dealt with the overwhelming guilt, the energetic component, the guilt that was permeating through his body. He was able to let a lot of that go. And then what happens? Here's the kicker. He went back onto social media and he starts posting consistently because he doesn't have all the resistance. He doesn't have all the baggage circulating around his head, stealing his focus. So he's posting consistently. And guess who reaches out? The very people, okay, the very two friends that he was avoiding end up reaching out. They end up connecting together. They end up forgiving each other. They end up resolving their past issues. So then posting on media, it became easy, lowered the resistance by forgiving himself for his past mistake and getting very clear on who he was fearing the judgment from. And then as a result of forgiving himself, he was forgiven by other people. And the very people he feared, they came together in a loving way to reconnect. And now that even fuels, that extra support fuels those actions even more so that he can take action fearlessly and effortlessly and move towards his goals of becoming that successful realtor. So to sum this up, you have to clean up the wreckage of your past. If you feel guilty about a past mistake, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself for the past mistake, for your old level of consciousness, the consciousness that you were operating at the time. And if you can't do it by yourself, bring in the support, have somebody witness those old experiences with you with compassion. Have that conversation so you can shift the feeling tone and have a level of acceptance about that past mistake so that you can take on a new mindset like we're talking about, where you can simply take actions towards things and this time not beat up on yourself, but receive feedback, adjust as needed, and keep taking actions incrementally and steadily, so you have that steady trajectory towards your goals and you feel positive about it. You feel like you're getting there. You feel like anything is possible. Okay, and if you need support with this, you need to let go of those past mistakes and you need that witness. You need the compassionate witness to help you along the process, to shift that feeling tone so you can free up your focus to move towards your goals. Take my free masterclass. I'm going to offer that to you so I can walk you through that process of how we free up your past so that you can clear up mental and emotional bandwidth to really focus on your future and take that action in an effortless way towards your goal. So empower yourself with that training today. And if you're still watching, thank you for staying with me until the end. Here's another video you can check out next. And in this video today, we talked about things that are more in the distant past. But this can also apply to your direct past. So right in the conversation, you make a mistake and you'll find yourself guilting yourself after. Well, it applies to this as well. And this other video will be really helpful for you to sort that out. So you don't leave the conversation with all that guilt. You can move on, live your life, focus on what you need to for the rest of the day. And if you found the video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'll see you soon, all right? Peace.